her for DUI. She was under the influence, and she said,
Good morning. I haven't even talked yet. Good morning, everybody. This is the Brian Kohberger plea hearings happening right now in Attic County, and I think I got poison ivy on me, and I'm going to blame White Rabbit for that one. Anyway, this is outside the courthouse. It's supposed to be in the next 20 minutes. They're gonna have court. So we will see. We'll be here live. We'll be here live to cover it. And hey, Miami, how you doing? T42, Dodo Dixon, She Hunts, what's up? Lexi, how are you doing? Lexi, that means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Thank you. I need to find my house shoes. My toes. My little toes are getting cold. Little piggies are like, it's July. We should be doing barbecue. We should not be cold little piggies. Hey, Noel, how are you? And hey, how you doing, Lady Tammy? So he has it is stated that he is going to accept a plea deal, but he has not pled yet. This is the actual pleading. So it'll be yeah, and I saw Diddy, Lady Tammy. That I don't even understand what's going on over there. I'll be honest with you. I will tell you this. I know that he didn't get it on racketeering, I believe. Racketeering, the RICO stuff, that just traditionally is never a good way to go. It's always the mafia is the only people you ever really hear about getting convicted of that. So, I need to go over here, change my chat around. Man, I tell you what, I have come in hot on this. I was eating a sliced cheddar cheese. That was my breakfast. And never fear, I have some gummy bears. I need to. Not that. I need to do this. Let's see here. Now, let's do. Why didn't it work for me?
Well, and he's planning to retire. He was planning to retire, I believe, a year ago, after the election or before the election. Let's go to another question.
I need to do this real quick. I can't remember how to. Oh, send an email. I don't remember how to do an email. The clean.
He may have to allocate, he may not, but a lot of reporting out there is stating that he's not going to have to allocate. But we'll get
crap.
Here in about 25 minutes or so.
All right. There we go. And they have new cherry pie ice cream at Andes. Isn't that nice? It's funny and sad at the same time. I live in this state. This whole nightmare happening. Oh, wow. What was it like? No, what was the coverage like out there? Oh, T42. Yeah, it's so this is an outside camera, and that is other reporters waiting to get in. They are talking to each other. One lady, you could overhear her. She was interviewing, and was saying stuff like, there. One of the things about this is that because it was cross state lines, why didn't the feds come in and prosecute? And I don't know. Just it was courtroom stuff. I'll turn it off. Oh, boy, she's quick.
No. I'm on another show, actually. I got confused.
Oh, okay. I'll leave. I'll kick you.
Okay.
Bye. You only came in for a second. She's on another show. I didn't know. I just sent her an invite. So we are here for live court reaction. And let's see here. Where is Discord? Discord is gone.
Okay, great. Can I take my phone? I don't even know. In my laptop, or do we know?
And this should go live here next 15 minutes or so. All right. Let's see here. Let's see here. It should have to do like everyone else and state why he believes himself guilty and what he should do to, and we should get to know about the K-bar. I am very interested about that K-bar, Lexi, because like I said, I have knives and, it's weird how they make that connection. It's like, oh, he bought a knife, so he's guilty. Well, I'm a dude in the South. I got knives. It's just what you have. No, it was a true nightmare. I live near Montana and Yellowstone. This happened near Washington. Yeah, this happened over there close to Spokane. Sorry. But holy cow, no, I bet you live in the most beautiful part of America. How you doing, American Dream? What's up? Nice with a Funko Pop. Angel talks too fast. How are you doing? I haven't seen you in a hot minute. How you doing, 80s gamer? What's happening today? I've always called it Spokane. Isn't that Spokane? I know I had a teacher graduate from Washington State. So I was always a University of Washington fan because of it. Really hated that guy. Hey, Dave, what's happening? T42, thank you so much. T42, you know what she's trying to say? She's saying, hey, guys, wherever you are, whatever you're doing today, let's make it a great day. And you guys, you got to shake off the cobweb. Thank you, 2 for 2. Pokemon, how you doing? I haven't kept up with whatever happened to that Washington serial killer guy. Did they ever convict him, or did he go to court? Yeah, Ted Bundy got caught in Florida. I do not know which Washington serial killer you are talking about. I may. Flag at half staff. It's an Idaho thing. Let's see what the flag status is. Oh, if I could spell. The flag today is at full staff. Wednesday, July 2nd, according to Stars and Stripes Daily. Your United States flag resource. So, is that something to do with Idaho? Dave Nelson, how you doing? I swear, Dave, every time I see that avatar, I think of Master Chief from Halo, which is cool. I'm a huge Halo fan. You have a season finale, final of streaming? How's that work? I've got every day and no off days. Oh, duh. Oh my gosh, duh. Thank you, Lady Tammy. So, yeah. 2 firefighters were killed by cops. When did that happen? Oh, I don't remember this. I don't remember this at all, American Dream. So, anyway, here we are. Idaho. Crazy. The shape of Idaho is wild, isn't it? So, how do states get their shapes? They do it. You have to have, to become a state, you have to have 60,000 people. You have to have a constitution, and you have to have a borders. And borders are usually natural borders. How Western states, they're incredibly huge. And then it's, a testament to like how the landscape is out west. But especially as Idaho, you go north, it's so you're so close to Montana and Washington. Diet Coke and gummy bears. That's how you win the Olympics. Okay. No. Let me read a little bit about Brian Kohberger as we wait here, okay? So let's see. Brian Kohberger about to plead guilty on 4 counts of murder and 1 count of felony burglary. Okay. Kohberger was arrested in December of 2022 in connection with the killings of 4 University of Idaho students. And today, he's supposed to plead guilty. So let's see here. That was 2.5 years ago. He was arrested in the connection with the November 2022 murders of 4 University of Idaho students who has accepted a plea deal. Now, when this happened, I saw it, and it was like a week or two before I started following. I was like, "Oh, this is getting crazy." Hey, Volstorm, what's up? My stream season finale. I prepare to manage them. ADHD loves it that way. Oh, that's cool. How long do you stream? How long's the season? The one with my face on it. What? It is actually Diet Coke or some weird Southern thing? There's Diet Soda? Coke. No, we're not allowed to have imitation. We'll have imitation meat before we have imitation Coke here. So he doesn't evidently today. A lot of pleas you have to, but we don't. It's kind of complicated. Steve Gosney went over that with us a little bit last night. Where'd he go? Where'd my thing go? Okay, here we go. On July 2nd, today, he will formally enter a guilty plea to 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary of the slayings of Kaylee Gunkald, Zaina Kernoodle, Madison Megan, and Ethan Chapin. Gunkald's and Mogan were both 21. Kernoodle was 20, and Chapin? Can't pronounce these names, was also 20, were stabbed to death in an off-campus rental home in Moscow, Idaho on November 13th, 2022. 2 more roommates at the residence, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, were home and unharmed. Early in the investigation, the surviving roommates were ruled out as suspects. In December 2022, Kohberger was charged with 4 counts of murder, 1 count of felony burglary. Prosecutors had previously indicated they intended to seek the death penalty before a plea deal was reached in June of 2025. Here's everything you know about Brian Kohberger and where he is now. He has a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's in criminal justice. He got a bachelor's degree at a local community college near his Eastern Pennsylvania hometown. In June of 2022, he received a master's degree in criminal justice from DeSales University. Jack Bayless, who befriended Kohberger in 8th grade, told People that Kohberger was very interested in psychology as a teen. He is super curious, probably the most curious person who you'll ever meet, guaranteed, Bayless said. He was really into psychology, how people thought and whatnot. He's always been really into that kind of stuff. One of his classmates at DeSales, Brittany Slavin, told the New York Times that Kohberger seemed rather interested in serial killers, but his behavior didn't raise any red flags for her at the time. At the time, it seemed as if he was just a curious student. So if his questions felt odd, we didn't think much of it because it fit our curriculum, she explained. And need to say thank you, 2 for 2. Protection Cat, you're up there. Thank you, Protection Cat. You're always looking down. You're always being so protective-y. You are always so
nice.
And we appreciate you. Even those times when Blue Dog calls you Beta Cat. We love you. And thank you, T, for giving love to Protection Cat. All that book learning didn't do any much good, did it? That's funny. It's a lot of people look at it as you hear the things. You hear where people say, oh, he went to school just so he'd learn how to do the perfect crime. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. He interviewed for a job with local police in April of 2022. He was a graduate research assistant at the Pullman. He interviewed for a job as a graduate research assistant at the Pullman, Washington Police Department. According to email correspondence obtained by the New York Times, Kohberger sent a note to then Police Chief Gary Jenkins with the subject line, "Thank you," after his interview. Chief Jenkins, it was a great pleasure to meet with you today and share my thoughts and excitement regarding the research assistantship for public safety. I look forward to hearing from you, he wrote. Kohberger was getting a PhD in criminology at Washington State. So he's going to be Dr. Kohberger. Was this the start of his was it not supervillain, but what do you call yeah, I guess so, a supervillain? He was gonna be Dr. Kohberger. I don't know what I'm trying to say. At the time of the murders, Kohberger was a PhD student in criminology at Washington State University, about 8 miles from the residence where the 4 University of Idaho students were slain. Oh, we just lost something. Court will resume shortly. Oh, looks like we're going in. Looks like we're going in. Let me see if I get another stream. Oh, can't find that one. Hold on. Let's see here. There you go. Let's see what that does. Site can't be reached. That's not right. That is so far from being right. Hang on. Oh, did I not do what I want to? Page isn't available. Why is that page isn't available? Let's see here. Where did it go? Where'd it go? Well, we'll watch this for a second. I'll find another one.
Andrea, thank you. Now, speaking of Steve Gonzalez, we saw him walk toward the courtroom and then walk back out. And as we've talked about, this case has worldwide attention. Can you show us what is going on there outside the courtroom? Is Steve Gonzalez still there? What does the media look like as well?
I don't want this.
I'm going to step out of the shot so that our photographer here can pan across the front of the courthouse here so you can see. I can recognize national media outlets.
Yeah, that's where we just were. We're just sitting out there, and I was reading this nice little background on him. But no,
in the Treasure Valley, this case moved from Latah County here to Ada County in order for them to have a better chance of finding an impartial jury, or having a bigger jury pool to pull from. We don't know how far into that process they had gotten. We do know that surveys or jury summons were issued in Ada County. I saw a lot of conversation online about people who had gotten that summons saying that they were going to be expected to be in court, and a lot of people wondering if that meant that they could potentially be in the pool for the Kohberger case. But we know that isn't going to happen. So if this plea agreement is accepted today, and again, Judge Hippler, really the only discretion he has here,
so law and crime and everything is all
whether or not it is
everybody's
fair,
court will resume shortly.
Is entering it into this agreement willingly, and if he knows exactly what he is agreeing to. Short of that, we would expect
and then you have her talking.
So agreement. Now remember,
I'm going to take her off. We're going to get back over here to
today,
this.
And it is accepted, and that plea is changed. That will happen today.
That's legit. I can't. I mean, I don't want to talk over her. All right, we'll do that. Oops, wrong one. We'll do this. Aha! There you go. to Idaho Judicial Branch. This looks weird, doesn't it? That look better? No. Doesn't look any better. Oh, I don't like that either. I don't like any of these. Where did I get that one from? That's a weird one. Why am I? Okay, well, let's just do this for a second. All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Okay. So I'm listening. All right, so go on with Kohberger. Here, I'll share what I'm reading. Oh, look at that. Ha ha. And let me make sure I got volume turned up on this thing. Yeah, so I'll pick it up when it goes live. All right. All right. So at the time of the murders, Kohberger was a PhD student in criminology at Washington State at Pullman, 8 miles away. B.K. Norton, a classmate of Kohberger's at Washington State University, who took the name who took the same courses as him one semester, described Kohberger to people as intelligent but quiet. Oh, that's what I'm described as, intelligent and quiet. Legendary. It was Amazon. It was an Amazon.com thing. Weird, right? So I saw what was it? It was hey Gutters, how you doing? It was cheap, and I was like, we'll see if this comes out. And actually, I like it. I actually like it better than the other hats, but I need to get one that says who, what are we talking about? That's what I need to get. All right, let's see. Go back over here, and Kohberger generally kept to himself, Norton said, but he noted, I know that there were students meeting. Hang on a second. Why am I doing this? I always do this wrong. Whoops. There were Kohberger, intelligent, quiet, more of a loner program, and claimed Kohberger made disparaging remarks about LGBTQ barbecue. Kohberger generally kept to himself, but he noted, I know that there were students meeting with him after the murders. He was quiet and stared a lot, but after the murders, he seemed more willing to talk and hold a conversation. Really. An anonymous classmate of Kohberger's recalled him frequently taking contrarian viewpoints in classes and getting into heated arguments with other doctorate students. The classmate said Kohberger seemed to have more disagreements with women, including one incident that led to a female doctoral student storming out of the classroom after accusing Kohberger of mansplaining. Well, that has nothing to do with him. While at Washington State University, Kohberger was also a teaching assistant. One of his students, Joey Famulero, said that his behavior changed after November 12th when the murders occurred. Definitely around then, he started grading everybody's just 100s. Pretty much, if you turned something in, you were getting high marks. So they all, this was during Thanksgiving break. Like, how much stuff were people turning into him? You know, this is how much of this did they really perceive happening, or how much of this was they watched the show Dexter, and Dexter was in a good mood after doing a serial pewing or whatever, right? How you doing, Island? Don't tell anybody. And Kohberger's still not live, but we're trying to get there. They had to pick up the cameras and move them inside. So several months before the murders, Kohberger was warned about his interactions with women, working and frequently a bar in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. The owner of Seven Sirens Brewing Company, Serlinek, explained that the bar staff scanned IDs of all patrons and that they can add notes to their internal system. Staff put in there, hey, this guy makes creepy comments. Keep an eye on him. He'll have 2 or 3 beers and then just get a little too comfortable. Oh, that's so weird. They do that in bars? They scan your ID and then they comment back and forth? I mean, dude, what just happened to the good old days of just going in with a fake ID? The brewery owner added that Kohberger would often sit alone at the bar, asking female staff and customers questions about where they lived and who they were at the bar with. Solonic said that if women weren't interested in conversing with that Kohberger would get upset with them a little bit. And that Kohberger called a female staffer a B blank, 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 blank when she wouldn't answer his questions. I mean, oh no! Let me tell you what. Being a bitch is a fabulous thing. And that was one of the qualities I looked for in White Rabbit. And she is great at it. Okay. So sorry, people, but it's not something that indicates that you're a serial. Why is my thing so foggy looking? This is driving. I'm going to kill my camera. Why does that look so foggy? It just happened today. I plugged my camera in. It says, oh, you need an update to keep using this camera. And then when I came back, it was like all zoomed in and foggy. Sorry. Kohberger seemed shocked at his remarks and told the owner, I don't know. Oh, hold on. During Solonic's final interaction with Kohberger, he said, hey, Brian, welcome back. We appreciate you coming back. I just wanted to talk to you real quick and make sure you're going to be respectful this time and we're not going to have any issues. And Kohberger seemed shocked and said, I don't know what you're talking about. You totally had me confused. Kohberger never returned to the bar after the conversation. Don't blame the guy. Kohberger followed all three female victims on Instagram and messaged one. Now, this is new to me because it used to be that there was no information about this, right? But here we are. While authorities have not revealed that the victims knew Kohberger, the suspect's now deleted Instagram account, which was reviewed by people before it was removed, followed the accounts of Mogan, Calls, and Kernoodle. None of the victims followed him back. 2 weeks before the students were killed. Here's a question. How many followers did they have? Kohberger sent a series of messages to one of the victims on Instagram, and an investigator familiar with the case told people. He slid into one of the girl's DMs. Oh, it always sounds so creepy. Several times, but she didn't respond, a source told people. Basically, it was just him saying, hey, how are you? But he did it again and again. The source added that the victim may have never seen the messages as they went to a message request folder on Instagram. There's no indication that he was getting frustrated with her lack of response, the source said, but he was definitely persistent. I wonder if she, you know what it sounds like to me right now? It sounds like she ghosted him. Maybe she hooked up with him at this, where's that bar? Seven Sirens. Maybe she hooked up with him at Seven Sirens and then she ghosted him. The source said that the victim may not have ever seen the messages, blah, blah, blah. Kohberger also allegedly visited the Mad Greek restaurant in Moscow, where both Megan and Kernoodle worked as servers in the weeks leading up to the slayings. According to the former employees, he came in at least twice to grab vegan pizzas. Oh my gosh, vegan pizzas. Uh-oh. What I say Friday Night Live? Vegan pizzas are for serial killers. Someone has to tell the waitress I ordered mac and cheese, not mashed potatoes, and it's not going to be me. Make bitch, it's great again. A mansplaining in a left-go school? Who'd have thunk it? That's a good point. Even though like that part of Washington's very conservative, it's the drawing. Yeah, vegan pizza, definitely guilty of something. Looking at you, dictionary diva. Vegan pizza. Anyway, if you know, you know. According to the probable cause affidavit, let me double check here, make sure we're not live. No, nothing's going on. Oh, no. And then, that's me. I'm on a couple of these streams. See, that's not No, she's still talking. No. Nope. All right. The affidavit states that this is where detectives found DNA. Okay, according to the probable cause affidavit, which was reviewed by people, a sheath of the knife used in the murders was left at the scene in the bed where Mogan and Goncalves were found. The affidavit states that this is where detectives found DNA link in Kohberger, which they then matched to a trash taken from Kohberger's parents' home in Pennsylvania. In June of 2023, prosecutors revealed that a DNA sample taken directly from Kohberger matched DNA found on the sheath of the knife. So, it was talking about touch DNA or whatever was the big thing. What is this? If they have actual DNA, then that's a big deal. The affidavit also alleged that around 4:20 a.m. on the night of the killing, a white sedan referred to as suspect vehicle 1 in the affidavit was seen leaving the area of the home. The document also states that the vehicle and a phone associated with Kohberger returned to the scene between 9:12 and 9:21. Additionally, the affidavit alleged a cell phone associated with Kohberger pinged in the area at least 12 occasions prior to November 13th. Of these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of the respective days. See, that's the thing. If you have a cell phone, they're tracking you. They know where you are. Geez. A source familiar with the investigation told people that Kohberger also had photos of one of the female victims on his phone. They did not specify whether the images were taken by Kohberger or pulled from social media. He had more than one picture of her, the source said. It was clear that he was paying attention to her. He did not specify the images were taken from Kohberger or pulled. Kohberger was pulled over twice on a road trip before his arrest. After Kohberger was arrested, body camera footage was released that showed him getting pulled over twice in one day. These vegans are serial killers. I don't know. I don't know where the K-bar is. Kohberger was driving a white Hyundai Elantra. Isn't that like the most commonly stolen car? Like you can steal it with a USB-A drive. And was stopped both times for following a vehicle too closely. He was released with a verbal warning on both occasions. After Kohberger's arrest, the vehicle was taken from his family home. At the time of the traffic stop, there was no information available on a suspect for the crimes in Idaho to include identifying information. I feel like this should be on by now. Hold on. I got a weird feeling. Yeah, it's still not up. Okay. To include identifying information or any specific information related to the license plate, state, or number of the white Hyundai Elantra, which was being reported to the media as have been seen in and around where the crime occurred, the Hancock County Sheriff's Office said in a statement obtained by multiple outlets. He spoke about the slain students during his extradition. Though Kohberger was largely remained silent after he was charged, a police source who was involved in the process told people that he spoke to officers while he was being extradited. He seemed really nervous, the source said. He was narrating to himself everything that was happening. At one point, he was saying something to himself like, "I'm fine. This is okay." Like he was reassuring himself that this whole thing, it wasn't awful. While Kohberger didn't speak directly to officers about the case, the police source said he did make an offhand comment about it. He did say it's really sad what happened to them, but he didn't say anything more. The source said he's smarter than that. What does that mean? He didn't talk. I mean, all he did was. Oh, wait. All right, here we go. Let me get my fat head out of the way. All right. Kohberger's in the top right. 1, 2, 3 over from the right on my side. Don't worry. Ceiling Cat is keeping an eye on him. Gutters. Oh. Good to know, Gutters. Good to know. So I wonder who this woman is here.
All right, this
They're
is
holding hands.
CR0124316665. Defendant
Right
is
here.
present in custody with counsel, Ms. Thompson, Ms. Jennings, and pardon me, Ms. Taylor, Ms. Massoff, and Ms. Barlow. The state's present with Mr. Thompson, Mr. Horowitz, Ms. Jennings, and Mr. Nye is here as well. Am I miss anybody? I'm sorry.
Ms. Allen is here as well.
Ms.
Your
Allen
Honor.
is here as well. Very well, thank you. All right, we are here today to entertain a change of plea. Before I start, I want to address some issues
To entertain.
of concern and otherwise. First, I appreciate everybody in attendance today being on their best behavior. Please, no outbursts or demonstrations. Any such conduct will result in immediate removal and may result in an inability to attend further court proceedings in this case. I want to point out that there have been calls by some for the public to contact me and my office in an attempt to influence my decision-making in this case. This has been extraordinarily disruptive for court staff and the ability for them to get work done, not only in this case, but in other cases where defendants are entitled to have their cases processed, and frankly, as important, if not more so, for victims to have their cases processed in those cases. It's also highly inappropriate. A court is not supposed to, and this court will never take into account public sentiment in making an opinion regarding its judicial decisions in cases. Courts should, and I always will, make decisions based on where the facts and the law lead me, period. I have not read any of the numerous messages nor listened to any of the numerous voicemails that have been sent to me and my staff.
Oh,
Those have
wow.
all been forwarded to security and, where appropriate, to law enforcement.
Good.
I ask that you not continue to mount such campaigns or to send me information like this, because again, it is not appropriate and frankly not something I would take into account when deciding.
Don't harass the courts.
A matter in a case like this. I also want people to understand some very basic concepts about the ideas of separation of powers, what the court's duties are, and what the duties and the rights of the executive, or in this case, the prosecuting attorney, is. The executive, the elected prosecutor, is the sole authority in deciding what charges to pursue, including whether, as well as what penalties to ask for, and what penalties to pursue, including the death penalty. This court cannot require the prosecutor to seek the death penalty, nor would it be appropriate for this court to attempt to do that. This court, in considering a plea agreement, if it were to reject this plea agreement, cannot force the state to seek the death penalty.
Ooh.
My role and power in considering a plea agreement is extremely limited. My role is to ensure that the defendant's plea is given freely, voluntarily, and intelligently. If those things are met, I can only reject a plea, such as the one in this case, where I'm not being asked to agree to the sentence in advance. If I can only reject it, for example, if the defendant does not meet or admit to all of the elements of the crime. That is, I can ensure what is called a factual basis to the plea.
That means that protects defendants from just going in there and saying,
Finally,
"Yeah,
I
I'm
want
guilty."
to offer my apologies to all the families, including the victims' families, the families of the defendant, for the short notice for today's hearing, and I'm sure what must have been the hurried efforts to get here. I, like most everyone else, learned of this plea agreement Monday afternoon.
Ooh.
And had no inkling of it beforehand. Prior to that time, I was under the belief that this case was proceeding to trial, as had been indicated, and my staff and I were busy continuing to work on preparations to have potentially 10,000 citizens of Ada County come to jury duty starting in mid-July.
Wow. Wow.
With the questionnaire process in mid-July. It was, once I learned of the defendant's decision to change his plea in this case, it was important that I take the plea as soon as possible because of the extraordinary administrative efforts that were otherwise attendant to the process of this getting this trial potentially underway on time, and including the significant process of bringing, again, potentially up to 10,000 jurors to come in and fill out juror questionnaires prior to the beginning of the voir dire process.
That was awesome.
And so it was important that we, if we're going to go down this road, do so expeditiously so that we can avoid those costs and expenses associated with that. Otherwise, if it was not going to result in a plea, or if for some reason the plea were to fall through today, that we could continue diligently towards trial at the time specified. And so that obviously required that we act quickly.
I think so.
And so
sounds big to me.
Some folks may have not had the amount of time that we would otherwise allow for them to travel here. And so, again, I apologize for that. I want to make people aware that during the hearing, if you are to leave the courtroom for any reason, you will not be readmitted during the hearing. Also, when we finish the hearing this morning, I ask that the public and media wait in their seats until the victims' families and the defendants' families and others are escorted out of the courtroom before you start to leave. Finally, I want to acknowledge the trial court administrator and her staff, the Ada County Sheriff, and the Ada County 4th District Marshal Service for the huge lift that they've accomplished in preparing for and orchestrating this hearing today, as well as to all the security attendant today that you see, and some of whom many of whom you don't see, with less than 48 hours notice. And so I appreciate the hard work that they've been doing. Frankly, some of them while they were on some vacation prior to the trial starting and had to call that short. And so I appreciate very much their professionalism and dedication. All right. That said, let's move to the business of today. I understand the state and the defense have reached a plea agreement in this case. For the record,
so weird.
I have a
Can't
written
believe we're
plea
getting
agreement
closure like
which
this.
indicates in sum, the defendant will plead guilty to all 5 counts in the indictment: burglary, felony, and first-degree murder, 4 counts. The state and the defendant stipulate, that is, that the defense is not free to argue for a lesser sentence at sentencing, to the following. The defendant on the burglary charge will be sentenced to 10 years fixed, and that the defendant on counts 2 through 5, the 4 counts of first-degree homicide, on each count would receive a fixed life sentence, all 5 of those counts to run consecutive to one another. Defendant, as part of the plea agreement, waives his right to appeal, as well as his right to appeal the sentence and his right to seek leniency or reconsideration of the sentence under Idaho Criminal Rule 35.
Wow, he's
This is
giving
not a
everything
Rule
up.
11 agreement, meaning the court is not bound by the plea agreement and could impose a different lawful sentence at sentencing. The stipulated agreement between the parties is the maximum on each count. So theoretically, the only thing the court could do would be a lesser sentence at sentencing. But the defendant is not free to ask the court to do so under the plea agreement. Are there any other material terms of the plea agreement that the parties would like to make? Obviously, the plea agreement, the written plea agreement will speak for itself and be part of the court record.
Not from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, very well.
Wow. So weird to me. It's just so surreal.
All right.
I have, it's the first time I don't have a legal issue with this. I have questions.
Taylor, have you had sufficient time to discuss this case and all of its ramifications with your client?
I have, Your Honor.
Have you discussed fully with him his rights, defenses, and possible consequences to him of the guilty plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you been able to do all the discovery you feel necessary?
Yes, Your Honor.
And have you informed your client of the importance of providing the court truthful and accurate answers in taking this plea today?
I have.
Have you apprised your client of any and all offers and counter offers and answered his questions about those?
Yes,
Do you consent to the entry of the plea today?
I do.
All right, Mr. Kohberger, I need to ask you some questions this afternoon, or I guess it's this morning still. I do this to ensure that so that I am assured that you understand the nature of the charges to which I understand you're going to plead guilty, as well as the possible consequences to you of your guilty pleas. I want to make sure your plea is given voluntarily, and I want to make sure that you actually committed the crimes to which you're pleading guilty, because I don't want you to plead guilty to a crime you didn't commit. If you attempt to plead guilty today, but for some reason I don't accept your plea, then it is possible that your statements today could be used against you later at trial. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And now while you're standing, actually, why don't you take the oath from the clerk?
Oh,
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in the matter not
I mean, that's a little squirmy guy. How do you do all the killings?
Yes.
All right, and Mr. Kohberger, just to make it easier, you don't need to stand when you speak to me. I appreciate the sign of respect, but for convenience, you can remain seated, all right? Before I start asking you questions today, have you consumed substantive questions? Let me ask you, have you consumed any alcohol, drug, or other intoxicating substance that would impair your ability to understand or
Yeah, it's not by the
exercise,
bar over
reasonable
there in the
judgment?
jail.
No.
You feel like you are thinking clearly today?
Yes.
All right, I want you to understand what the possible penalties are for each of the crimes to which I understand you're going to offer a guilty plea today. They include on count one, the burglary, a fine of up to $50,000 and a period of incarceration of up to 10 years in the state penitentiary. You may be required to pay restitution to any victims of the crime. Count 2, 3, 4, and 5 for first-degree murder. The consequences include a fine of up to $50,000, a period of incarceration of life imprisonment, which is a requirement of a sentence, that it be a life sentence with a mandatory minimum sentence of at least 10 years on each of those counts. In addition, you would be potentially responsible for a fine of up to $5,000 to each of the victims of your crime to be enforced in the form of a civil judgment to operate as additional punishment. This is in excess of any restitution or fines that the court could order. And again, you may be required to pay restitution to the victims of the crime. You would be required to provide, as to counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, a DNA sample and a right thumbprint impression, and potentially pay for analysis of those samples. You would lose any right to possess, purchase, or carry a firearm, the right to serve on jury duty, the right to hold public office, and the right to vote. Do you understand the charges and all those possible consequences?
Yes.
I don't think you're gonna be carrying many firearms in prison.
You've heard the plea agreement that I talked about today. Do you agree with that plea agreement?
Yes.
And do you understand the nature of the charges that are that you've been charged with that I understand you're going to plead guilty today to?
Yes.
As as I indicated, I'm not bound by the plea agreement, but the plea agreement is for the maximum on each count. Do you understand that I'm not bound by the plea agreement?
Yes.
Has anyone promised you that I would be lenient or easy on you if you pled guilty?
No.
Has anyone threatened you or anyone close to you to get you to plead guilty?
No.
Is anyone other than the state's
So, part of being a
agreements
felony,
with respect
Tammy,
to
is
the
just
plea agreement? Has
part of being a
anyone
felony.
promised you anything
Felony.
in exchange for your plea agreement?
No.
Has anyone told you to be untruthful in answering my questions today?
No.
Has anyone offered you a reward of any kind other than the plea agreement in order to get you to plead guilty today?
No.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
And counsel, obviously there have been a number of motions filed to suppress evidence in this case. Other than those filed, are there any other motions that you felt were available with respect
We could
to
have a whole
Rule 12?
discussion, Tammy.
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Kohberger, you understand that by entering the guilty plea in this case, you would be giving up your right to appeal any decision this court made, as well as your sentence.
Yes.
This is still so weird. So I have this weird theory.
Have you
to
had
start.
enough time to decide whether or not to plead guilty?
Yes.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Here we go.
Yes.
Given your choices, do you believe it's in your best interest to plead guilty?
Yes.
Have you discussed fully the matter of pleading guilty with your attorney, and are you satisfied with the advice you've received?
Yes.
Has your attorney advised you to your satisfaction about what your rights are, what your defenses may be, and what the possible consequences to you of your guilty plea are?
This
Yes.
is so
Has your attorney
creepy.
done everything you've asked them to do?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with their representation of you?
Yes.
We're looking at a guy that killed 4 people, and he admits to it.
I
We're
have
watching this
received a
live.
written guilty plea advisory questionnaire that is purported to be filled out by you. Did you fill that document out?
Yes.
Did you understand the questions that you answered in this document?
Yes.
And are the answers that are outlined in this document your answers?
Yes.
Are those answers truthful?
Yes.
I
Did you
mean,
sign the
he's-
document?
Yes.
There's no sound of
And this
weakness.
document
or
outlines many of
disbelief
the
or
rights that
anything in
you
the
have
statement.
in this case. Should you not plead guilty, did you understand those rights?
Yes.
They include a right to a jury trial. Do you understand that?
Yes.
They include a right to the presumption of innocence. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You have the right to require the state to prove your guilt as to each element beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand that?
Yes.
They include a right to confront your accusers and cross-examine witnesses presented by the state, including by utilizing the subpoena power of the court to accomplish that. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You understand you would have a privilege against self-incrimination and a right to remain silent, meaning you would not be compelled to testify if you did not wish to, had you not pled guilty.
Yes.
You understand you're giving up that privilege and those rights that I've just outlined by pleading guilty.
Yes.
All right, I want you to understand what the state would have had to have proven
wow.
at trial had you, to the crimes that you're pleading guilty to, had you,
I don't know if he can write a book.
if you didn't.
I think
plead
like in
guilty.
Tennessee,
Find the
if
document.
you're
Hang on a second.
guilty, you're not
Right.
allowed to make a profit off of it. But I do think that, Lady Tammy, that's part of my thing. I have this like weird conspiracy, maybe. That this guy might want to go to jail so he can study
So
criminal.
as to count one burglary,
behavior.
the state would have to have proven that on or about November 13, 2022 in Latah County, Idaho, you unlawfully entered a residence located at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho,
we
with
go.
the intent to commit the felony crime of murder. As to count two, the state would have had to have proven that on or about that same date in Latah County, Idaho, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogan, from which she died. As to count three, the state would have had to have proven that on that same date in Latah County, at that same address, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being, by stabbing her, from which she died. As to count four, the state would have had to have proven that on or about that
Hey,
same
darn
date in
nice.
Latah County, Idaho, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being, by stabbing her, from which she died. And then as to count five, also murder in the first degree, that on or about November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, Idaho, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing him, from which he died. Do you understand those things the state would have had to have proven?
Yes.
And do you understand that by pleading guilty, the state no longer has to prove
And there
those
was
things
no
because
blood in
you're
his
admitting
car.
those things are true?
I mean, blood
Yes.
leaked out of that house, but there's none in his car. It's so crazy.
I want to also make, for the record, the defendant has provided with the guilty plea advisory form a document entitled Written Factual Basis that purports to have the defendant's signature dated 1 July 2025. Did you sign that document?
Yes.
And did you agree with the written factual basis that is included there?
Yes.
And then let me ask you, did you, on November 13th, 2022, enter the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder?
Yes.
Did you,
Driving fools, how you doing, brother?
on November 13th, 2022,
When are we gonna get together?
in
man?
Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately,
That's
and with
crazy to think of.
premeditation and malice aforethought?
Yes.
He just admitted to it.
Did you honor about that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do
Golly.
that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice aforethought?
Yes.
And
I
did you
can't
on that
believe what
same
we're
date
watching.
in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought?
Yes.
And then on or about November 13th, 2022, again in Latah County, Idaho, did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
Did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought?
Yes.
I would ask the state at this time to provide its recitation of its factual basis had this case gone to trial.
Oh,
Thank you, Your
awesome.
Honor. Your Honor, the
we
organization
go.
of the recitation is different than what I think the court and the public may be familiar with from the probable cause affidavit and other documents. The state's evidence, as an overview, would show that back in March of 2022, when the defendant was residing in his parents' residence or was residing back in Pennsylvania, his home state, he purchased online a K-bar knife and sheath with an Amazon gift card that he had purchased shortly prior to the purchase of the knife, sheath, and sharpener. Jumping ahead, the end of June of that year, the defendant, Mr. Kohberger, moved from Pennsylvania to Pullman, Washington, which is right across the state line from Moscow, Idaho, for the purpose of pursuing a PhD in criminal justice at Washington State University. The state's evidence would indicate that beginning July 9th of 2022, Mr. Kohberger's phone began connecting to a cell tower that serves the area of the 1122 King Road residence in Moscow, Idaho. Now, I will acknowledge for the court and all present that there are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants. Between July 9th of 2022 and November 7th, the defendant's phone connected to that particular tower during late night, early morning hours, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. on approximately 23 times. Now, I will acknowledge also, we do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area on those times. In the interim, on August 22nd of 2022, Latah County Sheriff's Deputy Darren
There's
Duke
what he bought,
conducted a
if you're
traffic
interested.
stop
It
in
doesn't
the
make
early
you a
morning hour
criminal.
or late evening hours, about 11
Hey,
p.m.
bad duck. What's up, bud?
On the west side of Moscow, on the Moscow-Pullman Road. This was a traffic stop of Mr. Kohberger's car, which turned out to be a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plates. During the course of the traffic stop, Deputy Duke was able to obtain Mr. Kohberger's name, Brian Kohberger, his phone number, and his address, which at that point was an apartment address in Pullman. We then move to the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. The state's evidence would show that early morning hours on that day, Mr. Kohberger's phone left his Pullman residence, which is an apartment in kind of the central northwest part of Pullman. That phone was then subsequently turned off at approximately 2:54 a.m. and remained off until approximately 4:48 a.m. on Sunday, the 13th of November. The state's evidence would include a trial, video surveillance of a business on the Moscow-Pullman Highway, just across the state line from Moscow. It would show a vehicle matching the description of the defendant's Hyundai Elantra entering Moscow at approximately 3:02 a.m. Compiled surveillance that the investigators put together from businesses and residents then show the defendant's car, the white Elantra, as I've described, circling the 1122 King Road area, that neighborhood, starting around 3:30 or so in the morning. Comes into the immediate area of 1122 King Road, which is actually on a dead end, and then leaves several times. And approximately 4:05 that morning, the defense car had entered that area, was leaving.
It's not me. I've got everything else turned off.
Intersection of King and Queen Road, did a U-turn, and the state's evidence would show that the defendant's car came back and parked behind and above the 1122 King Road residence. The state believes that its evidence would then show that the defendant entered the residence of 1122 through the kitchen sliding door on the back side of the residence, which is the side of the residence that would face the area above where the defendant's car was parked. Defendant entered the residence, went to the third floor, and with a knife, killed Madison Mogan and Kaylee Gonzalez. The defendant, as he left that room, for whatever reason, ended up leaving, or the sheath for a K-bar knife was left on the bed next to Madison Mogan's body. And I can jump ahead. That sheath was tested by the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab, and single source male DNA was found on the snap of that sheath, as well as blood from both Kaylee and Madison and other trace evidence. But it's important to note single source male DNA was on the snap of that sheath. The state's evidence would show that Xana Knodel was still awake at this time. In fact, had taken a DoorDash order not long before this started. Her room was not on the third floor. It was on the second floor on the west side. As the defendant was either coming down the stairs or leaving, he encountered Xana, and he ended up killing her also with a large knife. Ethan Chapin, Zama's boyfriend, was asleep in their bedroom, in her bedroom, and the defendant killed him as well with a large fixed blade knife. Each victim suffered multiple wounds. I will state for the record that there is no evidence there was any sexual component or sexual assault on any of the victims. I want to make that clear so there's no speculation. There were 2 other roommates in the house, and they were already asleep. During the course of this, one of those roommates awoke, looked out her door not knowing what was going on, and saw the defendant, who was dressed in black with a black balaclava on, holding some sort of container in his hand. And she saw him leave the house through the direction of the kitchen where that sliding door is that I mentioned before.
What was in the container?
At approximately 4:20 that morning, so this would have been 15 minutes or so later, the defendant's car is seen on a surveillance camera for 1112 King Road, which is immediately next door to the west of 1122, leaving the area at a high rate of speed. And if the court were to see that, or anybody in this courtroom would see that, you can see the car almost loses control as it makes the corner, heads north, and then turns to go south on Walinta, which is one of the only ways to get out of that part of town. The evidence would show that following that, the defendant in his Elantra drove south of Moscow. We know that he drove on the back roads because there are surveillance cameras on the main highways, Highway 95, that would have picked up the defendant's car if he'd gone that route. And they did not show the defendant's car on that route during the time. So we know that he went through a variety of back roads in very rural, isolated part of Latah County. About 4:48 that morning, the defendant's phone comes back on. And the evidence will show that that phone was located south of Moscow, likely at a side road intersection with Highway 95. From there, the defendant's phone activity tracks heading back north towards Pullman, Washington, where the defendant lived. About 5:26, starting approximately 5:26, various surveillance cameras in Pullman, Washington pick up the defendant's vehicle as he enters Pullman from the south and heads north and slightly west towards his apartment, where he arrived at approximately 5:30 in the morning. Later that morning, Sunday, the 13th of November of 2022, Mr. Kohberger's phone returned to the area of King Road. We don't know exactly what he did, but it returned to that area. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. He was there for about 10 minutes and then returned to his Pullman residence. About 9:30, the state's evidence will show, evidence taken from the defendant's phone, that he took a selfie of himself on his phone in what appears to be the bathroom of his Pullman apartment with a thumbs up.
Oh, wow.
The defendant's phone then went to the Lewiston-Clarkston Valley, approximately 30 miles south of Moscow and Pullman. And the defendant is actually seen with his car at various businesses down there. This area is the confluence of the Clearwater River and the Snake River. Lewiston is Idaho's seaport. Large bodies of moving water.
What's up, man? How you doing, Skipper?
In addition to tracing the defendant's activities, as I've just outlined, on the 13th and leading up to the 13th, the state's evidence will show that following Sunday, November 13th of 2022, business records show that the defendant began searching for a K-bar knife and a K-bar knife sheath, as the state believes, to replace the one that was left at the scene of the murders. The evidence also will suggest that there were at least attempts by the defendant to delete or alter his purchase history on Amazon, where all these transactions had occurred. Later that week, the state's evidence will show that Mr. Kohberger went to what we would call DMV, motor vehicle licensing here in Idaho, in Pullman, to change his car registration from Pennsylvania to Washington. That's of note because Pennsylvania cars do not require a front license plate. The vehicles seen on the surveillance cameras of the defendant's car showed it didn't have a front license plate on it. At the time of the traffic stop by Deputy Duke in August, it was Pennsylvania plate, no front license plate. Mr. Kohberger proceeded to finish his semester of studies at Washington State University and returned to Pennsylvania for the holidays. Law enforcement at this point were aware of Mr. Kohberger, had been accessing information about him, were trying to find him. They located him in Pennsylvania, and they conducted what's called a trash pull. During the nighttime hours, agents of the FBI, who assisted immensely with this case,
remember when you put on the curb, it's
sanitation
public
department
property.
back in this neighborhood in Pennsylvania, took trash that had been set out on the street for collection, sent the contents of that from the Pennsylvania residence of the defendant's parents to the Idaho State Forensic Laboratory, where the lab experts there were able to identify DNA on a Q-tip as coming from the father of the person whose DNA was found on the knife sheath that was next to Madison Mogen's body in the bed.
That's creepy, man.
Subsequently, an arrest warrant was issued here in Idaho, and a search warrant was issued in the state of Pennsylvania with the assistance not only of the FBI, but the Pennsylvania State Police. Mr. Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home to return to Idaho. Upon his return to Idaho, a DNA sample was taken from him, and it matched the DNA found on the knife sheath next to Maddie's body at the crime scene. I can tell the court, in public, the weapon itself, the knife, has not yet been recovered. I can tell the court
There's a
that
souvenir
the
out there,
defendant's
y'all.
apartment in Pullman was searched, as well as his office. Spartan would be a kind characterization. There was virtually nothing there. Nothing of evidentiary value was found. And of course, we are now talking 6-8 weeks after the time of the killings. In Pennsylvania, the defendant's car was seized, and it was actually pretty much disassembled internally. And it also had been cleaned. There was a bucket of cleaner right beside it. I think we can all look to our own cars, you know, in those compartments in the doors. You can try to keep them clean where you put stuff. There's always some degree of crud in there. They were spotless. The defendant's car had been meticulously cleaned inside. And the state would present to the jury that that was part of the defendant's plan in covering up this. The defendant has studied crime. In fact, he did a detailed paper on crime scene processing when he was working on his pre-doctorate degrees, and he had that knowledge and skill. So, Your Honor, at the end, the state submits that the evidence that I've given just a quick overview of, and that to present in court would consume weeks, which the state is prepared to do and has been prepared to do, would show that as the defendant has just admitted and pleaded guilty on November 13th, 2022, excuse me, Mr. Kohberger entered the residence of 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. He did that with the intent to kill. We will not represent that he intended to commit all of the murders that he did that night, but we know that that is what resulted, and that he then killed intentionally, willfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice forethought, Maddie Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Santa Cruz. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's just so surreal.
All right, based on the state's proffer and importantly, based upon defendant's explicit admission to committing these crimes, the court finds there is a factual basis. Therefore, with respect to count 1, burglary, felony, how do you plead, Mr. Kohberger, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 2,
Golly.
murder in the first degree, as it
Yeah,
relates to
it was
the murder of
crime.
Madison Mogen, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 3, as it relates to murder in the first degree for the murder of Kaylee Gonzalez, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 4, the first degree murder of Xana Kernodle, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 5, the first degree murder of Ethan Chapin, a human being. How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Right. The court will find that the defendant understands the nature of the charges and each offense and the possible consequences to him of his guilty plea. Court finds that there is a factual basis for the plea and that finds the defendant believes the plea to be in his best interest. I find that the plea was given freely, voluntarily, and was intelligently made. I accept the plea. I direct that it be entered. I'll continue the matter for sentencing in this case. I think it was mentioned on the call Monday afternoon, the defense wishes to waive a pretrial investigation. Is that accurate?
Yes, Your Honor.
The state also?
Yes, Your Honor, the state does not believe pre-sentence investigation is needed, given the evidence that is available. We want to, though, make sure that all of the victims have the opportunity to make statements to the court at sentencing.
Absolutely. And certainly both the state and the defense may present whatever sentencing memorandum and other documents you wish me to consider. The victims will be given an opportunity to provide the statements that they wish to at sentencing. Do we need more than one full day for sentencing?
I do not believe so, Your Honor. We have numerous victims, and we have victims who share unique perspectives on this, and we want to make sure that they all have time to express their feelings to the court. But I believe that if we can start perhaps 8:30
I don't
or
like
so in
the
morning,
parading
that we
out of
should be able to
victims.
complete it all in one day.
I don't know how I should
Defense
feel.
agree with that in terms of the time frame?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So as it happens, we have some time reserved in this case in July and August. The week of July 22nd is available. I don't know if that's too soon for the parties or the next week, the week of August 4 is available. Any preference?
Your Honor, we're prepared as soon as the court wants to schedule it.
The state, I
Wow.
believe, would be prepared on the 22nd. We've told the victims' families that we're looking at approximately those dates.
All right. So because of the
Beto,
plan
could
to
you
bring
British?
in
Because
so
you
many
sure do
jurors to
sound
fill out
un-American.
questionnaires, I
You know,
had
you might want to think about this time of year, man. We're
ordered
just kind of
that,
celebrating
no other
something
trials
to
could
give
take
us these
place in
court
this
rights.
courthouse the week of July 22nd.
Little thing
And
called
so we will use that
1776.
in
I've
terms
heard
of
about it.
the sentencing date because of what I'm sure will be the significant interest of the media and the public and the logistics that will be required to make that happen.
250 years of
Without trials going, it'll be a lot easier to
president
do that.
makes
So
it
let's pick that
un-American.
week. Why don't we pick July 23rd with the idea that if for some reason we don't finish, we could continue into the 24th. We'll start at 9 in the morning. Does that give your team enough time, Sandra? 9 in the morning? All right. Any concerns with that date?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, sir.
All right. Any reason why I should not rescind the non-dissemination order at this time?
You're right. I think that given the history of this case, it would be best if that remained in place through sentencing. So we have time to make sure there's the ability to completely answer questions. That would be the state's preference and recommendation.
Would have no
Well,
objection
the
to the
talking
order
heads
to remain in
got
place
that
through
wrong.
All right, I will, at this point, the idea to keep it until sentencing, which time it would be withdrawn in order to give the parties the space and time to prepare to meet what I'm sure will be the deluge of media requests. That's at least my preliminary decision at this point. We can always revisit if it seems to be, for some reason, I should. That said, obviously, I don't think the defendant, a bond was ever set for the defendant. Were it would be revoked. The prior order allowing him to come in civilian clothes is revoked, given his plea and no longer the presumption of innocence. And in fact, now the actual conviction for the crimes. He will continue to be held at the jail pending sentencing. Is there anything else today?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
I assume that the trial date will be vacated
trial
and those
is-
4 jurors will be released.
The trial will be vacated, and I'm
Yes, it's not.
sure that
Sentencing
the
has
jury
been set.
commissioner will get
Judge doesn't have to
word
accept
to
it.
those that receive their summons that they won't be required to attend. So
Thank you, Your Honor.
that said, again, if you would all please wait for the parties and the victims' families and others to leave the courtroom before you do.
Well, we're going to go ahead
Appreciate
and
it.
leave the court.
With that, we're adjourned.
So
All right, please.
that's it. They cut it off. That was weird. That was really weird. I don't think I've ever seen somebody sit there and admit to killing 4 people. That sucks. No, doesn't go into my party attitude. This is a week of party, 4th of July and all that good stuff. And that's kind of, I don't know. That's just so. But oh, hey, wait a second. Check this out. Never give up. Never fear. Expert is here. Boom! Look at this. Silly cat. I'll get out of your way. Everybody see the cat. There you go. So they're gonna show people coming out, and it's gonna be, you know, the families. There's no microphones or anything set up, so I don't see them saying anything. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how that works, Lady Tammy. That's a good point. Back up, Terry. Back up. Oh, we will have plenty of Terry moments, that's for sure. But no, that's what I was. Well, they can't even get their camera straight. This is what I was saying. I have the like a thought, you know, my conspiracy thought was, but this guy, after reading that article about him, if he is so into the criminal mind and all this stuff, right? Maybe he sees it as he wants to go to jail so he can study these people, because he's clearly not there. I mean, he's clearly not a he's not dealing with a full deck. But I fully expect some YouTuber or TikToker to be out there with a metal detector looking for that K-bar knife. I'll be greatly disappointed that we don't have that by sentencing. YouTube, you know what you have to do. You need to go find the knife. Who's this guy? That's dude. That's a church dude, evidently. You identify church dudes by the black hat with the white cross. I thought that was one of the girls that were. Oh wait, who's this guy? Why are we? What's happening? I need play-by-play, people. Here come the family members. Oh, he's he's with a church. You know what? I didn't. That's not what I'm about. Just doesn't make me feel good anymore. So, guys, what? Trying to understand law and different perspectives and getting negative reaction. No, I don't know what Idaho law is, why they do stuff. I mean, I just know the only thing I can relate to is the common law of the stuff, but I don't know courtroom. Dude, trust me, man, you're the wrong place if you want courtroom procedure. That's not me. Put in reverse, Terry. All right. That's it, guys. So I don't know if she's still on. I'm gonna send you over to Lost Souls. They'll have a good chat about it. I can go brush my teeth. Love y'all. Thank you.